everybody, and welcome to week 7 of class. Hey, one thing I want to mention right out the gate, right off the chute here is next week you do have a midterm exam. The midterm exam is going to be a series of 80 multiple choice questions that will be based upon content that we've covered basically from weeks 1 through 7, which will be this week's content. Each question is worth 1 point, and it's all multiple choice. You will obviously have access to your notes and to your textbook and what have you. It is a timed exam, and off the top of my head, I don't recall how long you have, but it states in the directions how long you have. But what you do need to note is that once you start the exam, you only get one attempt, but once you start the exam, you must finish it in one sitting. You will see a timer that will count down, letting you know how much time you have remaining for that exam. So just realize that that is coming up next week. But as far as this week goes, we're going to be focusing on a period of history that historians call the Era of Good Feelings. It is a time in U.S. history that followed the War of 1812, and it is a time of intense and extreme American nationalism and patriotism. It is a time in American history where the economy begins to develop under a system known as the American system, devised and created by Henry Clay. And it will be a time in which the military will attempt to build and get stronger. And ultimately, the country itself is trying to sort of prove just how tough and strong it is. One of the ways that it does this is it issues the Monroe Doctrine, which is a statement of foreign policy by the United States, written chiefly by John Quincy Adams, who was Secretary of State under Monroe, who was 5th President of the United States. And basically it stipulated that the American hemisphere and the continent itself is no longer to be understood by European powers as a place for colonization. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that there was a lot of Latin American revolutions going on, and the United States essentially deemed itself the police power of the continent. So we'll be talking a lot about that. But there's also a series of events that transpire during this so-called Era of Good Feelings that really demonstrate that it's not really an era of good feelings. There's definitely some economic problems demonstrated with the Panic of 1819, which will eventually get resolved, but there's this economic crisis that had to do to some degree with the decline in price of cotton. But perhaps the one thing that really demonstrates that there are issues and tensions within the United States is the Missouri Compromise. And the Missouri Compromise is going to underscore a reality that the United States is going to be dealing with, and that is every time a new state requests to become part of the country, there's going to be a question as to whether or not the state should be a slave state or a non-slaveholding state. And there are political and social issues that come along with this question, as well as economic ones. And so that's really what we're going to be looking at this week. As always, you have discussion boards due. So get those in. But otherwise, that's what we got. So if you have questions, contact me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, as always, go in peace. Be warm and filled. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper. And may the odds forever be in your favor. Have a blessed week, guys.